Hello, and welcome once again to Life That Matters. My name is Dr. Sharon Norris Elliott.
And I'm Lady Laura Simon.
We're so happy to have you with us again today. You might want to gather friends around.
Your
Your girlfriends today because Lady Laura, whenever I put it in Lady Laura's lap, why don't you do, a topic? She comes hard. Lady Laura, let me tell you something about Lady Laura. Everybody needs a friend like Lady Laura, okay? Because
I'm scared.
you have to have a friend who will drop the truth on you. Now, she's one of my clients. I am her agent, her literary agent. And
She was supposed to be my friend at first, but okay, go ahead. my friend girl who became my agent.
Yes.
Yes.
And the
agent is a whole different type of friend.
They tell me it's a new mask. It's a whole new me when it comes down to their book proposals.
There's friend, there's sister, and then there's agent.
Yeah. So to hear them tell the story, not at all the way I remember the story going. They tell me that I rip apart
not a story. It is fact.
that I rip apart their one sheets and I, go all up and down the road.
And their training when, let me say this.
Look.
Here's the piece that she can nod her head because she's going to say that it's true. In the class, there's this class that you have that she teaches, and then you pay for it too. And when you go, there's this wonderful, I'm not going to tell it because you need to be in her class.
Yeah, okay.
But there's this process that you go through and that she has you break everything down in a very special way to get to chapters and what you're going to write about. Okay? Yes, I know that's true. But when you're going through the process, you dare not stray off of your topic. Because if you stray off of your topic, she comes over to you and she looks at the process and says to you, "What's this? Does it go with this?" It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Take it down. And she just takes it down. And she just moves it over there and continues.
And I tell them, and I say, this is probably your next book.
Yeah, she does. She says that. But like I said, there's friend, there's sister, and then there's your agent. They are very different.
Yeah.
They're different. You need all three, though. You do.
Okay.
I do appreciate all three. All right. I really love 1 and 2 and 3.
You got to deal with number 3. But tell the people if you are or are not published. Tell them.
If you are.
If you are or are not published.
Oh.
Are you published?
I'm published.
Ah.
I am published.
Ah.
Some of my friends are not.
Ah.
And you know what? Because they didn't do 3. They may have her as 1 and 2, but they don't have 3. And you really should do all 3.
Yeah.
And she's very good, for whoever's listening, she is very good with deciphering between 1, 2, and 3. Okay? It is 1 and 2 and 3.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, the point here is
yes.
We're going to talk to
She
women.
allowed me to say I could talk about women things today.
Yes. And you see, I started by putting myself on the chopping block.
Yes.
And because Lady Laura is going to tell you the truth. Okay.
Because we are in a book together.
Yes.
During the pandemic, she writes for him Black Voices of Wisdom. And it's, a compilation book of 21 women who came together to talk about some of their experiences. And we all have some experiences that also go with being a Titus 2 woman.
Yes.
And so out of all three of her days, or things that she is, friend, sister, literary agent, over there, she is a Titus 2 woman.
Yeah.
Now, 1 and 2, that 3 though, you kind of have to make sure you don't have your feelings on your shoulders.
Oh, no.
Okay. It's not personal.
It's not personal.
It's not personal. It's
because
business.
1 and 2 is personal.
Right.
This is business.
That's business. Yes.
This is business.
So if it's grammatically wrong,
yeah.
if the syntax ain't right,
what can I tell you?
if it's the wrong idea in the wrong place,
You see,
and if it's another whole book,
you see what I mean about honesty. Okay. Now, let's get off me and get on y'all. Okay. So
we're still going to be on both of us.
Okay.
We're going to be on both of us, and we're going to be on
all
both
of
of
us.
this. We're going to be on all of us, and for men too, because this is what so my husband's a pastor, right?
Yeah.
And
God bless you.
we went, yeah.
My dad
but
was a
you're
pastor.
PK, so you're a pastor's kid.
Yeah.
So I know both sides of the story, or just both sides. And so I was talking to Sharon about how we are maturing. We're seasoned now.
Yes.
I am seasoned. And so even though my children and some of the members don't look at me as being seasoned, now that I'm dealing with 40-year-olds, I'm seasoned. Because I'm like, girl,
You're talking about your children.
I'm talking about some of my parishioners
some of your
too.
parishioners. Okay,
that
gotcha.
they want to come to you, but and you come as the Titus 2 woman, which we're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But some people don't want to be Titus 2'd.
Yes. And we're going to have an overarching thought here that comes out of Romans.
Right.
That basically says, as much as you can muster, right? As much as lieth in you, you need to live at peace with all people.
Yes.
Right. So now we're talking about woman to woman, friend to friend, women. And in this sense, older women.
Yes.
Right. So what is Titus 2? What is a Titus 2 woman?
Well, let's read the scripture.
Then
we can really talk about it. So Paul wrote this. So it's the epistle of Paul to Titus. And chapter 2 begins with, but speak thou, we're reading Miss Sharon's King James version. But speak thou the things which become sound doctrine, that the aged men be sober, grave, temperate, sound in faith, in charity, in patience.
Okay, so there's the list for the men.
For the men.
So we're starting out by talking about teaching each other sound doctrine.
And how we should be if we are seasoned men and women of God.
Right.
Okay.
These are good things, sound. Right. Stable.
And this is how you should be acting.
Right.
If you are, there are some things that my husband says that, and Richard, do not be offended, our producer. My husband says you don't come to yourself until you're 35. 35 and under.
You're still kind of practicing?
You're kind of special.
You're still practicing adulthood?
You're practicing adulthood.
Okay. So both of my boys then they're over the line now. So
are they 36?
Yes. 36 and 38.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's my husband. Me, I'm on 42. I think 42 because
Oh, you're thinking
I'm
the
thinking the
age
age
is a little.
chronological, you need to be 42. I don't think I don't, after talking to the 40-year-olds that we have, not just at our church, but just in general, 42.
So this sober, grave, temperate, sound in faith.
Not so
Not quite
much.
yet.
Not
Okay.
42 and
So
under.
that's the men. So now let's get into,
Oh, and
because
the
we really
women?
want to get into the women.
Oh, yeah.
So verse 3.
Verse 3 says, the aged, I am aged, and this is why I have these. The aged women likewise means
In the
them
same
too.
way.
Okay. That they be in behavior as becometh holiness.
In behavior. Notice that.
In behavior.
Yeah. Not so you're not just talking about it. You actually being about it.
You being about it.
You living this
some
way.
things on, okay, well, let me say
Okay.
this, and I'm talking about my kids. That's because I can talk about my own kids. Nor false teachers or accusers, nor false accusers, not given to much wine, teacher of good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of God be not blasphemed.
Okay.
Okay, now it goes on to the young men, but we're going to stick to the women. Now, the reason that I wanted to talk to you and them, us,
Yes.
about this, and it goes to wisdom, is that I have no qualms about, if that's because that's what you are, a seasoned woman. I
hope so.
have no qualms hearing from Miss Sharon. Do I always want to hear from Miss Sharon? No, I do not. Does she always want to hear from me?
No.
No. But seasoned
I always
women,
will.
right? But
Yes.
seasoned women, we have been through some things that we want to share with the younger women so that they don't have to. Now, if they want to go through it,
Yeah.
crack
More
your
power
whip,
to you.
do it.
But you'll be back.
But you'll be back. And we're not saying that we know everything.
No.
That's not what this is saying. But if you are a seasoned woman of God, you've been through some things, you done prayed and been on your knees and on your face, and you have talked to God about kids, about life, about your job, about your spouse, about your own parents. You know, if you've gone through that, why wouldn't you share with the younger women on
Right.
how to act?
Right.
But if we're going to show them, and if we're going to talk about how to act, then we cannot.
Be acting all wise and otherwise.
There you go. That otherwise. And that's why I wanted to bring it up, because I went somewhere. I'm not going to say where, because then we'll
Don't
be
say
in
where.
trouble.
Don't say where.
But I went somewhere and ooh wee.
Yeah.
And then let me tell you something about my sister friend agent. She says, because this is her show, you know, she says, make sure that we don't, where's the word? Gossip. Yeah. We're not gossiping. There are things that we do that we ought not do.
True.
As seasoned
women
of God.
Right. And we do. We have to be careful when we talk.
Yeah.
Because the whole point of this show is practicality.
And to tell you why your life matters.
Right. And living out the life we're living, walking, boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground.
Right. But as
living
a believer,
how God says in here to live.
Right.
There you go.
And so we have learned from experience and experience with other people, sometimes making the mistakes and things ourselves, sometimes watching other people.
There you go.
right?
part.
You don't have to learn by doing all the time.
There you go.
Right?
That's
Yes.
what we were talking about the last couple of weekends
Yes.
that we've been gone. We were in a multi-generational situation when my nephew passed away. And then we come to another situation where we are, sometimes the older men, this was an older men weekend. My husband was helping install a new pastor.
Okay.
Who is young. And so I had to go back and think that Tony and I used to be, we were installed at 30, 29 and 30.
Wow.
So
that was young.
I look back over some of the things that I did. and I was not so much a Titus 2, because that's why I was so happy when you said about Romans 12:18. If at all possible, it depends on you. That's the other New King James Version.
Yeah.
That
we live
you live peaceably with all men. And that was the thing. As a 30-year-old pastor's wife, there's a difference. I wasn't seasoned. As a 30-year-old pastor's wife, whatever the members said to me, I said back to them.
Oops. Now, this is half your life ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this other part.
So this took
it took a minute.
It takes some learning. Right?
Yes.
Takes some learning to, like, the first thing in the list here, behavior as becoming holiness.
That's right. That's right.
Right. And sometimes we take the word holiness.
Yeah.
And we have all kinds of thoughts about it.
Yes.
That means that I'm going to be walking around with skirts down to my ankles.
Oh, I was thinking that and you said it.
Like,
bless God, bless God.
Right, you better get those braids and things
out of my hair,
out of your hair, because that ain't holy.
It's not holy. It's not holy.
I need to grow my hair longer.
That's right.
Because your hair is your crown.
Your glory,
all that
your
stuff.
covering. Yes.
We think that means holiness.
Right.
Let me be the first one to gladly tell you that that's not holiness.
Right. It's not. It's not.
That's a show.
That part.
Right.
Yeah.
Holiness is something that God has turned you into. And you're living the way He would want you to live. And that has to do with behavior. It does have to do with my clothing to some extent.
Yeah.
Right? Because all the parts are going to be covered decently.
And He wants you to act. Some of the Bibles come with the headings.
Yes.
Like 1 Thessalonians, one of my favorites, 5, how we should treat the pastors. Or it should say how we should treat each other.
Right.
God has, through the writings of Paul, has put down, this is how you should act.
Right. And so
and holiness does not mean holier than thou.
Right. And everybody who's out there, everybody who is out there who says, I can't understand the Bible. If you can read, you can understand the Bible.
Yes.
Because especially Paul's letters, Paul gives us a bunch of lists of things.
Even with the even when you have there's all these versions now and translations, as you will explain to everybody, agent. But there's even the the King James version, you understand it says becometh holiness, not false accusers, which goes back to the gossiping part. Be mindful of what you say.
Yes.
Be mindful of how you say it. And then be mindful, do you say it at all?
Exactly. Right. Does it even need to be said?
Does it need to be said? You just be like,
Yeah,
I'm going to wait on that.
exactly.
Everything has, when it comes to holiness, everything, which is what I said about me at 30, some things don't need to be said. And even if they are mean to you, even if they say crazy stuff to you, that's in my book, Mother Hattie Durham, Rest Her Soul. You are
Yeah.
just so, and I'm going to tell your husband.
Ooh.
And I said, and you are just
Oh, oh,
so,
oh, 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 oh.
and what if I said,
That was 30. That was at 30. At 60.
at 60, it's like, And then that's even better because when you don't say anything at all,
They don't know whether it was taken positively or negatively.
there you go. There you go. So you have to have behavior that's becometh, beware not, you don't want to be a false accuser, not giving too much wine. Can we sit here for just a second?
Go ahead.
Now, I am not going to say, my personal opinion, I'm not going to say to somebody, don't have any wine, right? But you got to read the room.
Read the room.
You when you're out with certain people, you got to read the room and remember where you are.
Right.
And if you are a woman of God, I'm going to say it like that. I'm not going to say if you're a pastor's wife because that doesn't matter. I'm not going to say if you're a deaconess or whatever. I'm not going to say any of that. But there are just some tight things we don't wear. We don't wear, and there are,
Right.
yeah.
Well, the giving too much wine. I want to go
But
back
don't
to
be doing that.
I want to go back to that.
Yes.
My mother.
Yes.
I asked my mother. We didn't have any alcohol in our house.
We didn't either.
Ever growing up.
He didn't either.
And I didn't miss it because it wasn't there. But I remember as a teenager, I asked my mom, did you ever drink wine? My mother said, I tried it. And I don't drink it because I liked it.
Really?
Yep. I was like, wow.
That's wisdom.
Wow. Yeah.
That's wisdom.
Because she could look around and see what a wino was.
Yeah.
And said,
Yeah.
Because back in the day, communion used to be with real wine.
My parents had real wine.
Yeah. And so you could taste that. I had no idea that there were different types of wine.
Right.
And then I remember, I was pretty young when we just went over to grape juice.
Yeah.
Right. But I won't forget that.
Yes.
It was, my parents were those kind of people. They wanted to take the Bible literally and seriously,
And too much wine also means the age that we're living in is read the room and you have a witness. So don't have the wine or all the hard stuff just all on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. That looks...
Yeah.
You got to be vigilant and diligent. And what does it say? I'm not saying be fake, but I am saying you have to know who you're around.
Yes.
And you got to watch your witness. And you don't want to be a hindrance.
That's the word I was giving.
You don't want to be a hindrance to anyone.
Because someone who is not as mature as you are, they can see you drinking a glass of wine, which most people now, go, a glass of wine is fine, whatever, as long as you're not getting drunk, what have you. We're not making a case about that.
We are not.
The point is, they can see you drinking a glass of wine with your dinner and think, oh, Lady Laura thinks it's okay to drink wine.
Right. And they say that. That's this. And so here's the example. And then I'm off my soapbox. We're teaching the women, and I'm just going to use our own example. I'm going to use what happened with us. We're teaching the women, the young women, what's appropriate, what you might want to wear, what you might not want to wear. If it's a lot short, or if all this is out, or if something is see-through, you might not want to wear that here. You got to read the room and see where it is in the deal. Is it appropriate?
Yeah.
But then when I wear that, then the young women are confused.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, Sister Laura, you said this, but you got on this.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
you're right. That's okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm just saying. If this is what
And
you're
I
going to
think-
say, it's in here.
And I think when Paul even put it together, when the Holy Spirit had Paul put together, teach the young women to be sober and to love their husbands
Be discreet.
and being discreet. Look at that. You know, okay. So there's something I can wear in front of my husband
Yes. Yes.
that I shouldn't wear to dinner with my husband.
Yes. That's it. That's it right
Okay.
there. That makes so much sense.
Yeah. And I mean, husbands will tell you when they're embarrassed by you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
again, wisdom.
Wisdom.
Discretion.
Yeah.
We don't talk about being chaste.
Yeah. We don't.
You know, I have a daughter-in-law who is chaste. She's beautiful, and she can actually get away with wearing anything,
See?
right? But in public,
In public,
no.
there's certain things you're just like,
know,
oh
no.
my gosh. You're showing a little
And
bit
she
too much.
dresses, and she's not looking old-fashioned when she goes out someplace.
Right.
Right. That kind of thing.
That kind of thing.
So we may have to continue
Yeah.
with
There's a lot for women and men for this.
for
but yeah.
women, men, for our kids, our grown kids,
Oh, that's another
as
one.
our little ones are growing up, all of that. We may just have to continue that into next time. If you have questions, why don't you send those to us
Yes.
between now and then?
Right.
There's information on the screen about how to do that. But we like talking.
We
right?
like talking.
Because your life matters
Your
for
life
God. My name is Dr. Sharon Norris Elliott,
And I'm Lady Laura Simon.
and we're looking to have you with us on Life That Matters next time.
Next time.